I think my mutant was far too easy of a target, so I want some enemies that can actually chase me. Now there's a slight problem with that. I don't want the enemies to just zoom towards my position and go through all of the different bits in my scene. The enemies need to work out a path through all of the different platforms and ramps and things in my scene to reach me without colliding with anything. So to do that, Godot has got a node that it calls a navigation region that controls what things we need all of our enemies to avoid. I'm going to go to my main scene and add a node called NavigationRegion 3D. And then I need to put all the bits of my scene that I want my enemy to avoid as children of this navigation region. So I'll drag that up a little bit in the scene, make sure it's still in the main, still a child of main. Then I'm going to drag my ground into the navigation region. I probably want the enemy to avoid the ramp or go up the ramp, so I'm going to drag the ramp in there. I'm going to drag all my platforms in there. And what else might I want the enemy to avoid? I might want it to avoid the goal as well, so it's not going to go through the arms of the goal, it's going to avoid them. So I need everything that my enemy might need to avoid to be a child of the navigation region. And you might see now why I was recommending we do a bit of housekeeping first so that you can easily drag all of those items in there. Then I'm going to click on the navigation region and create a navigation mesh for it. So I'm going to hit this drop down, create a new navigation mesh, and then I get this button in my navigation region called Bake Navigation Mesh. And what this does is it takes all of the mini meshes hiding around the entirety of that navigation region, and it creates a new mesh that avoids all of the meshes inside there. So I'm going to click Bake Navigation Mesh, and you get this wonderful blue mesh covering everything. That mesh tells me all of the things that my enemy is going to try to avoid in the game. It can only touch the blue bits. So the enemy is going to use all those blue bits as potential places where it could walk. It can walk through the goal, but because I've added goal to my navigation region, it's not going to touch the edges of the goal. It's going to just walk through it. It can warp up the ramp a little bit, but it's not going to try to jump up the ramp. It's only going to go in those blue areas. So let's create a new scene for our enemy so we can instantiate heaps of enemies into our game. And I'm actually going to make this enemy a static body 3D, even though it's moving around, because I'm going to do all the movement through code, and I don't want it to sort of push stuff or anything, so it doesn't need to be a rigid body or anything. I'm going to make this a static body 3D. And the type of enemy I'm going to create is a mine, simply because I don't need any animations on a mine. It can just float towards me. We can have animated enemies in a bit, but a mine is going to be the easiest type of enemy to create. So we'll start with a mine. I'll make sure I've hit Control S and saved this as mine T scene. Now I'm going to add my mesh instance and my collision shape, and I'm going to make both of them spheres for this mine. Sphere shape 3D, sphere mesh. We're going to give it a metal material. Click on the material, turn down the roughness to make it shiny, turn up metallic, and then make it a kind of a grey colour, maybe with a tiny bit of red for some character. That's going to be my mine. Now we're going to add our second new type of node for this video, and it's called a navigation agent. The navigation agent is going to work out where our mine needs to go and make sure that it always sticks on that navigation mesh that we've created. Now we're finally ready to add a script to this mine, which will use that agent to update its position. So I'll click on mine, I'll click add script, and we'll save this script as mine.gd. This script is going to start pretty similar to the other scripts that you've used to update something's position. We're going to have a speed variable. I'm going to make it 5 for my mine because that's the same speed as my player. We're going to have a direction, and we don't need to use that at all yet because it's going to be changing in a second. Set that to vector 3.0, no direction yet. And in our process function, we're going to be updating the position of this mine. Position plus equals direction times speed times delta. So it looks almost exactly the same as our basic bullet script that we had earlier. But now comes the fun bit. We're going to be using this agent to work out what direction the mine needs to go in. So I'm going to grab a reference of that navigation agent in my script, and so I don't have to type out NavigationAgent 3D every time. I'm going to just rename it to agent. And I'm going to grab a reference to the player, because that's what the agent is going to be targeting. So I'll try to drag the player in from my main script, but of course this path is wrong. That's the path from my main scene, and my mine's in a different scene. So we've got a similar problem here to what we had with our bullets. I need to change this path to /root/main/player. Now my agent will always be able to find the player in the tree. And in the ready function, that means that I've just added the mine to the scene. I'm going to tell the agent that its target is the player. So the agent's target position is the player's global position. That's where the agent is going to be sending my mine. Now all that's left to do is to update the direction of the mine every frame to wherever the agent thinks that the mine should go. So it's going to start from the mine's global position, and we're going to get the direction to agent.getNextPathPosition. That means we've got the agent telling us at all times the best place for the mine to go. That's this script done for now. We just need to add some of those mines into our scene, and we should be able to see them following our player. Let's go to our main scene, and we're going to find mine.tscene in our resources, and just drag a mine right into the corner so that we're going to be able to see it, avoiding all the platforms on its way to us. There you can see the mine going around all the platforms on its way to the player. It works really nicely until it reaches its final position, and then it gets very confused because it's still trying to move toward that position. So we're going to add some extra code into the mine script to say it shouldn't be updating the position or direction if the agent is finished. I'm going to write if not agent.isNavigationFinished. Then I'm going to grab these two lines of code and indent them so that they're part of my if statement, and they only happen if the agent is not finished. Now we'll see slightly nicer mine behavior. It's avoiding all the platforms on its way towards us, and when it reaches us, it'll just stop. It's looking much smoother, but you might be wondering, well, why is it stopped? Isn't it supposed to be following me? And it is. It's following the position that it got told to follow in its ready function. So we're doing this one time when the mine loads. We're setting an agent position. If I move over to the mine, it's not following me, it's following that position that it was told to follow, so it always ends up there. What I want to do is update the position it's trying to follow. Well, it's going to be every frame, so it's going to be here in the process function. In fact, we don't need the ready function at all. We're going to copy that line of code and set the agent position every frame. It's going to move down here into our process function, and we're going to delete the ready function completely because we don't need it anymore. We're going to be updating the agent position every frame, and it's just going to follow my player wherever the player is in the game. So here it is coming towards us, and if we change position, it's going to follow my new position. It's following me everywhere I go. Now it's only going in spots on my navigation mesh, so it doesn't actually know that there are platforms here to collide with. It just knows it's not allowed to go in those spots where there are platforms. If I find like a gap in my navigation mesh, like between these two platforms, then the ball, the mine here, is going around the mesh to try to reach me, because the mine doesn't know there's a space between these two platforms. There's like a little hole in the mesh. So we can tidy that up. We'll do some things to tidy up the navigation mesh in the next video, and we're also going to make it so that the mine doesn't start following us unless we get close enough. Then we'll start doing some things where the mine can damage me and I can damage the mine. So all of that will be in the next video, but this is a pretty good start for now. We've got enemies that can follow us anywhere that they want to, provided that they stay on that navigation mesh.